I am extremely tired today. So this should be an interesting playthrough. We'll see, I suppose. I checked to see how close I was to the end of this game. And discovered I'm nowhere near the end. Confirmed that River is thought to have Asperger's syndrome. Which is what I have. So I don't love the way they've been talking about her. Because I don't think it ruins lives. I don't think it ruins marriages. And I think to suggest that I keep referring to her condition is rude. And I don't appreciate it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Those of us with or on the autism spectrum can absolutely ruin marriages, but not because we're on the autism spectrum. Just because people are people. I think it's important people know that. And I don't think this game does a good job of representing that. I don't love how they reacted to somebody on painkillers. That's a discourse in the world today. So I'm not sure I'll keep playing this game because right now I'm mostly just complaining about it, and that seems rude. And I like to play games. I like to play games that I find fun and entertaining, so why waste my time playing a game I don't enjoy? There are others who do enjoy it who will stream it, and you can watch them. It's kind of my thought process. Also, I'm stuck, which I hate. See, this is shiny, so you'd think this I'd click on this. I hate being stuck. Oh, somebody I didn't talk to. Hey, is that whack-a-mole? Says Dr. Watts. Dr. Rosaline says, whack-a-what? Dr. Watts says, whack-a-mole. You take a mallet and whack moles. Rosaline says, isn't that animal abuse? Watts says, they're fake moles, butthead. I don't like Dr. Watts. It's how people blew off steam before FPS were invented. As first-person shooters. She says, how primitive. And he says, yeah, it's pretty ghetto. Which is not a great way to refer to that. She says, where did you read about it? And he says, my grandpa was a fan. Want to play? Just hit everything on the head and you win. I think that's the stall manager. Watt says, yes, 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 yes. She says, sure. Use mouse. Oh, Lord. I'm not good at this game in real life. There's no way I'm going to be good at it in fake life. Definitely didn't hit all of them. Time's up. Let's see now. Out of 45 total target appearances, you struck 52 times and made 37 successful hits. That's an 82% hit rate. It's your new record. Ah, finally, I got another memory point. Which means I can go this way. Things I can click on. Joey says, John says, I can never understand you, Joey. How can you stand the taste of them? John says, they're just so sour and icky. And Joey says, sour and awesome is what you mean. Joey says, just try it. John says, nah, I don't even want to taste regular olives. Their mom says, you should try at least one, Johnny. Who knows, maybe you'll like it. And Joey says, yeah. And John says, nah. I don't know what that means. I'm done, though. Can I go play? Mom says, okay, but only at the playground and not an inch too far. Just leave that bag. I'll keep it for you. John says, no, it's mine. I want it. Another memory point. Received a note. Pickled olives instead of pickles. Interesting. Talk to anybody else over here? So we could follow the kid. Seems like an intelligent thing to do. Requires 5 bars of memory. Well. Somehow got 5 bars of memory by walking up on the stage. Maybe it's the exploring thing. I don't know. Okay, we're at another, this is a playground. Looks like kids are running around. Here's Johnny. Wrong movie. He walks over to, he's walking away after I clicked on him. We're gonna follow him. We're gonna go over this log. Dr. Watt says, way to follow Mom's orders, huh? Okay, let's go up here. Following Johnny. He backs up. We jumped. We're gonna jump. John says, wow. We're gonna look up at the stars. 2 birds fly. Land in a different tree. He walks over to a tree. Sits on a log. John says, whoa. You can see the night sky behind. Sets his bag down, I guess. I can't really click on anything right now. Dr. Watt says, well, okay, so he wandered off the trail and found a cool place. But let's face it, he could have been eaten by a pack of tigers. Seems legit. Dr. Rosaline says, tigers don't travel in packs, idiot. She's not very nice either. He says it was just an expression. You know, when I was a kid, he says, my grandpa took me stargazing every year. He does talk about his grandpa a lot. She says, yeah. He says, there was a hill outside of the city that we'd stay at. The same one every year. We'd watch the stars till daybreak. Well, I did mostly. He just carried the telescope for me. She says, well, of course. He says, the thing was, though, Ma didn't want me to stay up late. Grandpa always told her that we were just camping and hid the telescope inside the car. And that's all good, but when we get back in the morning, I had to pretend like I'd actually slept. So in conclusion, that's the story of how I started my caffeine addiction. She says, you're terrible. And he says, I know. She says, it's a shame, though. She says, all these nice memories lost and never found. And who knows how many more are like it. He says, well, as you say, just take it moment for moment, right? And she says, mm-hmm. Dr. Watt says, oh, swears. I told you packs of tigers dwell here. I hear footsteps. I don't see anyone, though. Little red-haired girl. How much you want to bet this is River? John says, hello. She looks startled and starts to run away, and he says, wait, don't go. I'm Johnny. What's your name? She says, you're at my spot. It's River. And he says, your spot? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hog this place all to myself. You want to join me? She says, are you here to watch the stars? And he says, are you? Fades to white. Fades back in. They're both sitting on the log. Oh, now we're seeing them in like a different art form instead of pixelated. It's their backs, and he says, just look at them. And so it's just, you can see them from the back. He's got his hands on the log. She has her, looks like her hands are folded in her lap. And so you just see the back of their heads and their backs and sitting on the log. And then there's the stars behind them. It's gorgeous. Did you know there were so many lights in the sky? Yes, she says. Oh, I did too, he says. You said this was your spot, right? Only during the carnival, she says. Not a fan of the crowds, he says. Me neither. You know, you still haven't told me your name yet. I'm not telling you, she says. Everyone makes fun of it in school. He says, why? She says, they say it makes them want to go to the washroom. He says, okay then. Well, it can't be worse than John. I mean, everywhere in the world, nearly everyone's named John. Even in India, she says. Probably, he says. What's wrong with that, she says. He says. She says, what's wrong with having a name that everyone has? And he says, well, it's boring, I guess. I mean, if everyone has it, then what's the point? She says, I wouldn't mind. Just for once, to have the same name everyone else has. It's like those lights in the sky. They all look the same from here, but that doesn't make them any less pretty. He says, yeah, I suppose. What do you think those stars up there are, anyways? She says, my dad said they're giant burning spheres of gas. And John says, oh, I bet he's making it up. She says, why would he lie to me? He says, because, you know, that's what grown-ups do. They make things up. Santa, Easter Bunny, kangaroos, stuff like that. She says, have you ever made an Easter Bunny out of stars? He says, like a constellation? And she says, yes. He says, of other things. Never tried a rabbit, though. She says, do you want to make one? He says, yeah, we'll make the bestest constellation ever. Let's see who makes one first. Let's see who makes one out first. He says, okay, we'll start in 3. 3, 2, 1, and start. And she says, I see it. He says, where? She says, in the sky. But where in the sky? He says. She says, think big. And he says, and she says, bigger than all the others. And he says, I don't know. He says, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I see it. She says, tell me what you see. He points up at the moon. He says, there, right? There's the 2 ears and head. And she says, what else? And there, he says, there's its 2 feet. She says, yes, what else? And he says, and the moon. The moon is its big round belly. It zooms back out. We've got the little pixelated doohickey people. And he says, so what do you think they really are? The stars, I mean. And she says, I've never told anyone, but I've always thought they were lighthouses. Billions of lighthouses stuck at the far end of the sky. He says, wow, it must be so lively up there. And she says, but it isn't. They can see all the other lighthouses out there and they want to talk to them. But they can't because they're all too far apart to hear what the others are saying. All they can do is shine their lights from afar. So that's what they do. They shine their lights at the other lighthouses and at me. And he says, why you? She says, because one day I'm going to befriend one of them. That bag, she says, what's in it? He says, oh, it's the prize I won from Whack-A-Mole. Did you get to play that game? She says, I tried, but I'm too clumsy. What did you get from it? He says, I got a thing. I don't really know what it is. He opens the bag and he pulls out. Is that the platypus? It is. It's some kind of weird duck beaver thing, he says. She says, may I see it? It looks so strange, she says. I wish I could win one myself. At the bottom of the screen, somebody yells, Johnny! And he says, eek, that's Ma calling. And she says, here. She goes to give the platypus back. And he goes, you know what? Keep it. It's yours. And she says, mine? And he says, yeah, I can always get another. I don't like to brag, but I'm totally the best at that game. And she says, will you be here next year? And he says, yep. Will you? And she says, yes. And he says, same place, same time? And she says, yes. And she says, what if you forget or get lost? And he says, then we can always regroup on the moon, silly. Right on the rabbit's tummy. And then his mom yells, Johnny again. And he yells, coming. Oh yeah, he says, I forgot my hacky sack in the bag. You said you're clumsy, right? Maybe it'll help. She sits back down on the log with the platypus. Fade to white. Now the two doctors are standing there watching. Dr. Watts says, if they ever get lost? Question mark. Wait, does that mean... And Dr. Rosaline says, don't tell me you didn't see that coming. And he says, and here I thought this was going to be an inspirational childhood dream story. I should have known that some girl would come along and turn it into a cheese fest. She says, I suppose now we know what we must do to send him to the moon. And he says, wait, you aren't actually going to do it, are you? And she says, it's our job, Neil. It's what we are contracted to do. And he says, damn it, Eva, wait! She blinks out. And he says, Eva. So the to the moon bit was because he said they could always regroup on the moon. But does he not remember? I'm confused. Dr. Wet says, I know that you're in here. Received note moon. He's blinked back to when they were kids. Stuffed toy platypus. This is all your fault, he says to River. What a nice guy. No, I think we have to go to the... So we're piloting Dr. Watts. We're looking for, the other teacher, or the other scientist. Dr. Watts says, turn around. And she says, Neil. He says, I know what you're planning to do. And she says, I know that you know. And he says, yeah, well, I know that you know that I... No. And she says, look, our contract is to send him to the moon. And the only way for that to happen is if Johnny is motivated to do so. And he says, but if that means removing River, then what's the point? The reason why he even wants to go to the moon in the first place is because she died. And she says, I know, but we are legally bound by the contract to specifically. And he says, I mean, it doesn't say fuck the contract. It has a bunch of little letters and symbols, but that's what it means. Fuck the contract, he says. He says, I didn't take this job to make him miserable, Eva. I don't know about you, but I signed up to help the freaking geezers die happy. And she said, me too, and I like this job. But if we directly go against our legal obligations, we'd be in for court hearings. And he says, we'll appeal. We know that Johnny'd be happier to not go to the moon. And she says, Johnny would be happier with a lot of alternate life tangents, Neil. We are not here to play God. Our job is to give him what he signed for. And he says, well, we happen to know what he wants better than he does. And she says, look, I'm only risking losing River because I believe in her. And he says, what do you mean, risk? You're removing her. And she says, and besides, I will make up for it. And he says, make up for it? How? And there's a red flash. And she says, we're running out of time. And then she starts backing away. And she says, just trust me. And then she, like, zooms away. And he says the one who pushed me off the friggin' lighthouse. And the world shakes. And the hallways are moving. And he says, did you just... And he says, freaking light data. Abusing your powers doesn't disable my controls entirely, Eva. Okay, so I can just see a little bit. Oh, I think I want to go this way. Oh. There's a... Booby traps, really, Eva? Just trying to buy some time, she says. Gee, thanks for telling me. Whoop, spikes. Oh, great. Must avoid spikes. Oh, God. He says, those are some expensive pieces of equipment you're tossing. And she says, seriously, just stay put and wait till I'm done. And he says, oh, piss off. Look, don't make me exit this whole thing and unplug you. She says, would you really risk distorting his memories as they are? Just stop trying, she says. Please, this won't take long. He says, not again. Lights turn off again. And she says, or come and find me at the end of the hall. He says, oh, you've got to be freaking kidding. Is this a game to you, Eva? It looks like zombie Evas. Dear Lord, they aren't just zombie Evas, call it. They're zombivas. What? They're throwing plants. Don't come any closer. I got plants. Oh, he grabs the plants. Press WASD on the keyboard to shoot. I'm running away from the zombie Evas. Whoop. Can't go up, apparently. Oh my God. Okay, this is stupid. I don't think I'm supposed to be able to get past them. They don't appear to be dying. Didn't realize I could... appear to be stuck in this little hallway. It says, woo, these things are good for something after all. Oh my God. Okay. Nope. Ah, God damn it. I appear to be going in circles. Oh, bowling balls? That's fun. This whole thing is just a loop. He says, oh, fuck this. And he throws a zombie Eva through a wall. He says, what the? Creates a time and hole in space. Hole in time and space. I'm going to walk into it because that seems like the appropriate thing to do. I get into another hallway with no traps. It shakes. He says, Eva, what happened? Eva. Lights are flickering. I come across a tiny Johnny. He runs away from me. I'm going to follow him. River, what else? Billions of lighthouses stuck at the far end of the sky. Dr. Watts. Now the whole construct's messed up. Yeah, there's origami rabbits. John, it's finished, River. She won't be alone anymore. John, I just don't want to be another typical kid in a sea of typical people, Nick. River, what's it like? Just the responsibilities, I suppose. This is weird. It'd help you understand her condition, says Dr. Lee. And he says, I'd rather not. And she said, why? The doctor says, why is that? Okay, so we're going through... So all the scenes we've been through are mixed up. So like that, those were just horses running through the hallway. Like this is the... Okay, he's got the bookstore and the pianos in it. This is a soccer ball. Oh, and his dead brother. That's fun. Hello, says Joey. Wait, don't go. I'm Johnny. What's your name? Your Spot? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hog this place all for myself. But it's the kid on the ground. Did John actually die and not Joey? That's confusing. He says, look, it was a long time ago. And she says, there's no date or time, Johnny. There's no date or time, Johnny. Okay, this has gotten creepy. Phone rings. Pick it up. Hello, Neil. Dr. Watts says, Morpheus. What? It's Eva, you idiot. He says, no shit, we're the only ones here. Listen, whatever you've been doing, stop it. We might not know what Johnny wants, but we know what he doesn't want. And what he doesn't want is exactly what you're accelerating. She said, it's already done, Neil. And she says, why don't you come out now? And a door appears. He's gonna walk through it. Oh, thank God I can WASD it. Let's go out here. Yeah. So we see Eva, we see Johnny, we see River. They seem to be walking backwards. Dr. Watt says, what did you do to her? And she says, relax, she's merely going elsewhere. And he can't seem to go forward, or he blinks. He keeps blinking, like he can't seem to edit something maybe. And he says, you know, it's one thing to disable my controls to feed me some olives, but this is way out of line. She says, I'm sorry, but this just won't go anywhere if you keep on resetting the memory. At this point, this is the only way. I'm asking you to trust me. So please just calm down and wait here. And he says, then just pull the trigger already. Where are you going? She makes another door. Says, there's just one last thing I need to do. And he says, poser, there's no need to visualize a door. And she says, what's with all this melodrama, Neil? Why are you fighting so hard for this? Forget it. There's no time. Yeah, just erase the memory of River. Who cares? Nicholas says, everything will be alright, man. Just turn around. Okay. Okay. Johnny, hey, what are you? So this is the memory when Nicholas makes him go ask River out. And Nicholas says, shh. Johnny says, hello. There's no one there, though. Does see a book. Dr. Watts walks over. Sorry, kid. It's already started. The scene kind of fades a little bit, and Johnny disappears. It's a different day. The book's gone. Come on, they're gonna hog all the good tables. Nicholas says, they're all the same, sheesh. And Johnny says, nah, Joey's right. The ones by the kitchen smell better. Joey says, totally, and olive refills are just a step away. And Johnny says, ack, olives. I thought Joey was dead at this point. Dr. Rosaline comes back. Dr. Watts says, saving him doesn't justify it. Dr. Rosaline says, he can always find another River, Neil. But he'll only have one brother. Come on, we're in the way. So she edits his memory so he doesn't die. This is the scene where they meet in the movie theater. And they blink out. Instead, it's the two twins and Nicholas. River has disappeared in the movie theater. They're riding horses. Now they're not there anymore. Looking at a car driving by with John in it. Somebody says a pop store, and Joyce says a writer. Somebody says a firefighter. And you, Johnny, says the teacher. Johnny says an astronaut. At the lighthouse, River and John disappeared. The dead rabbit disappears, just the green car driving by the property with Johnny in it. Johnny and Joey in their bedroom. Joey's yelling at Johnny. It's a NASA poster. Don't think that was there before. Johnny and Nicholas are doing push-ups. Joey's watching. We're at the carnival. Green car driving by. Johnny and Joey in their room again. Johnny's writing a letter and mailing it. Mailing another letter on a rainy day. Another day mailing a letter. Flashed and he looks like he's older mailing a letter. Bookstore with River. River disappears. And he's an author. Somebody's an author, signing books. Must be Joey. Yeah, because Johnny and Nicholas are standing behind him. Johnny answers the phone. Green car. So looks like a computer generation on the other side of the road. Or sidewalks. Pulls up in front of a building. Big stone building. Oh, NASA. Okay, pulls up in front of NASA. Sure. An office in NASA. He's an adult now. I think this is around when he would have married River. Dr. Watts says he actually made it, huh? And Rosaline says, you sound surprised. Dr. Rosaline says, whatever happened to, we always succeed because we are awesome. He says, this isn't a success. And she says, oh, lighten up. We're in NASA. We don't have much time left. Let's at least check this place out. We see somebody saying, please wait here. Someone will come and show you around shortly, to Johnny. And they walk away. He sets his bag down. Pulls out a book to read. Dr. Rosaline says, shush. Sheesh, he really likes this backpack. Let's see what book he's reading. How pathetic. All this trouble just for some girl. That was Dr. Watson. Dr. Rosaline says, that's just what I thought you'd say, Neil. And he says, how pathetic. All this trouble just for some girl. She says, there you go. Good to have you back. And he says, yeah. Did not understand that exchange. Nothing to click on in here. Requires 1 bar of memory links to proceed. To the Moon. The story about a lame duck's attempt to become an astronaut. A novel by Joey Wiles. Dr. Watts says, I can't believe this crap actually sold. And Dr. Rosaline says, this isn't the real world, Neil. I got a memory link. We go through the door. We go through this door. Requires 4 bars. Memory link. Which is funny because it's just nonsense that she made up. Go through a different door. Johnny comes in with us. Dr. Rosaline says, Dr. Watts says, is it me or is this elevator smaller on the inside? Let's go to 2F. See Johnny. Let's talk to him. Somebody says, this is the Mission Control Center. We look around. It does indeed look like Mission Control. So that person says, there's not much going on now, but you'll see it live one day. Dr. Watts says, I half expected to see Zordon on that screen. Dr. Rosaline says, it's not here. And he says, oh, what? And she says, let's just go. Get another memory link. Let's get back in the elevator. We'll go to Dr. Watts says, so do you think last century's moon landing was? Dr. Rosaline says, let's not, Neil. Let's not. Let's go to 3F. I sort of assumed we were on 1F, but maybe I was wrong. Let's do this. And here's the centrifuge. If you're lucky, you'll learn to hate it one day. Dr. Watts says, ah, yes, the spinny thingy. Dr. Rosaline says, it's not here either. And he says, what are you talking about? And she says, come on, we don't have long left. Another memory link. Yeah, I'm betting I'll have to go to 1F. there's only a 3F left. Let's go to 1F before we go to 3F. Rosaline says, I hope the real NASA has bigger elevators. Let's go to 1F really quickly just to confirm. Yeah. Confirmed. This was the floor we started on. So let's go to 4F. So we've been to 2 and 3. We're going to 4. We started on 1. Here's a door. Person says, the shuttle's still under heavy maintenance. We may only view it from here for now. Dr. Rosaline says, ugh, this isn't good. Perhaps there's somewhere we missed. Watt says, you need to work on your communication skills. Dr. Watt says, whoa. Dr. Rosaline says, yeah. You know what's the best part of it, he says? And she says, what? And he says, the very top and bottom of the shuttle. She says, I'd have to agree. He says, oh, how I pity anyone who can't see those particular parts. She says, indeed, especially its nose at the top. So for the record, for those of you that are not able to view this, you cannot see the bottom and the nose. You can just see the middle section. So the game designers are being silly. She says, when maintenance finishes, it probably won't look the same. And he says, yeah, now's the only time. All right, so we have enough memory links to go back through the door on 1F, which I'm assuming is where whatever she's looking for is. So we'll go back there. To this door. Dr. Watt says, I wonder if the real NASA looks like this. Dr. Rosaline says, probably not. It's constructed in part with Johnny's beliefs, after all. And he says, ah, yes, a wiki of existing facts tainted by personal fairy tales. He walks to a window. It says, it's odd, though, to hear birds and see none. Dr. Rosaline's looking around. She says, sorry, Neil. I really thought there was a good chance. And he says, what? Back up. Johnny walks in. And this is the break room. He's been giving it. Here's David. He's a mission specialist. John says, nice to meet you. Dr. Watts says, at least he got into NASA, I guess. You think he made it to the end? Dr. Rosaline says, even if he did, it'd take more than just a few years to become an astronaut. And he said, let's hurry and find the last link then. I'd hate to miss the finale. Whoop, it's dimming. And he says, what's going on? Are we out of time? And she says, I don't know. Somebody else walks in with red hair. Ah, and here's our other new recruit. River, right? Good to have you on board. Huh. Oh, please tell me they took away her autism. Hello, says John. I'm John. Last memory link. Dr. Rosaline says, whew. I almost thought she wasn't, and Watts says, what the fuck, Eva? But you deleted her. She says, no, I told you, I just moved her. What she does with her life here is still up to her. But this new world, it's based on public data and Johnny's own beliefs. And since River's data as an individual is not recorded in the public domain, it all comes from Johnny. But even then, that merely increases the odds, said Dr. Watts. How were you sure that it'd work? And she says, I wasn't. And he says, it could have gone very badly, you know. And she says, you were never one to take risks, Neil. And she says, let's just say I won this round. She says, we still have the 2 spare helmets, right? I think Johnny'd appreciate some company. She blinks out. He blinks out. Interesting. We see River walking along the hallway in NASA. She backs up. There's a room that she walks into. Oh, Johnny's there playing the piano. Oh, that's where the song comes from. In this reconstructed life. Somebody says he wrote it himself, apparently. Rather repetitive, if you ask me, though. Uh-huh. She says, what's it called? River says, what's it called? And that person says, To the Moon. She says, I like that name. I don't understand. Johnny's going into a centrifuge? River's coming out of a centrifuge. I don't know. They're back in Johnny's bedroom. Old man Johnny. They put the doctor and Lily into helmets. So now there's 5 of them in his brain. He's playing the piano as a young man with River. They blink. She's older with longer hair. You can see that he's older. He's still in the NASA place with the piano playing. Sorry, Bug. I just kicked Bug in the face. Somebody says, oh, there you are. They're like a blank silhouette. You two should go get some rest. Tomorrow's the big day. Wedding or takeoff? They look at each other. Fades out. We can hear waves. We can't see anything. Now we can see a bridge over a river or water of some kind. Cars, but also silhouettes of people. Dr. Watts blinks in. We're going to make him walk. I want to be an astronaut too, Dad. Somebody says, one day, son, you just might. Dr. Watts says, meh. Nicholas says, you should have seen him back when we went to school together. I swear the guy never rested. He just kept on trying and trying. It was like he had only one goal to work for. I think he said that before. Joey says, you know, that's my brother in that shuttle. Wow, says the little kid. Joey says, yep, I once wrote a book about this too. With a less optimistic ending, huh? I might have to change that after all. Lily says, hey, Dr. Watts, right? Thank you for letting us in here. Yeah, Dr. Watts says. Eva's the one who requested it. Lily says, did you find out why I wanted to go to the moon? Dr. Watts says, sure. Lily says, and? What all happened here? Dr. Watts says, let's just say it was a bunch of sappy cheese that sorted itself out. Okay. Talk to the doctor. Doctor says, you know, there was quite a few times last night when I thought we lost Johnny. I think he consciously held on to wait for you two. Watts says he's rather patient then. Doctor says, I just hope it's worth the wait. Go on now. Your colleague's waiting. Okay. Dr. Rosaline says, I thought this might be a good view. Or you can see the shuttle in the background. Good enough to cut off the traffic, eh? Says Dr. Watts. And she says, sure, even if they were real. Well, this is it, she says. All we've worked for. Ready to initiate it? Sure. Initiate it. I don't know what we're initiating. She says, come up here. And he says, why? And she says, why not? And he says, you're just going to push me off the ledge again, aren't you? And she says, probably. But the view's worth the odds. It's quite pretty. It's a sunset. She says, come on. Well, if you wouldn't lay there, I wouldn't kick you in the face by accident. Sorry, Bug. Back at NASA. Oh, we're in the command center. And now we can see inside the shuttle. Looks like Johnny and River are in there. Those haircuts are to be any judge. They look at each other. Oh, there's red. Screen flashed red. Screen flashes red again. We're back with the two doctors. They blink. You see text because one day I'm going to befriend one of them. I'm in a command center. You see screens lighting up green. You were looking at the spaceship. It's in a different art style again. We see it taking off back in the old art style with the pixelating. We can see the two doctors and Lily watching the takeoff. Now we're looking at the shuttle. It's shaking like it's flying. Shuttle is taking off, flying. You see birds flying past. Now we're looking at it from a different view, again with a different art style. I don't know why this switches an art style. Back in the control room, all the screens are green. All the silhouettes are turning to each other. Back on the two doctors on the bridge, watching this. Dr. Watts scoots over, touches Dr. Rosaline on the shoulder. She slaps his hand away and he moves farther. Back in the shuttle. Different art style shuttle. Oh, now we're looking at the lighthouse. Oh, with the shuttle going by in the background. We're looking at the lighthouse. We see John and River. Oh, they're getting married. Okay. We're in the bar. We see those two couples plus Joey. We're at the house. They're building the house. We see, I think Joey's in that shot too. We see the lighthouse. Old man John and old lady River. They sit on a bench. I think you can hear the heartbeat monitor in the background. Shuttle's taking off. Doesn't have the boosters anymore. You can see Earth in the background. Screen flashes red and you can see kind of the construct in the shuttle. Flashing red, green construct lines like a computer. River holds out her hand. John holds out his hand and takes hers. And the moon can be seen through the shuttle's windows, and then the heartbeat monitor goes dead. Oh, so I was close to the end. Written and directed by Can Reeves Gow. Developed by Can Reeves Gow. Laney Neely III. So now we see the time when they met, looked at the stars, and he gave her the platypus. Now we're going to get credits. Alright, so we had an old dude named Johnny. We had two memory technicians. We're going to go in and make him go to the moon. We walk through his memory, backwards through his memories. We meet River, who's his wife who dies from something. We keep hearing about her condition and how it complicates things and makes his life hard. How it's a mistake, but he still marries her. We see bunnies everywhere. At their wedding, there's a dead bunny. Lighthouse is a theme. We find out that his brother dies and blocks his memory. Oh, it blocks his memory of when he first met River because Joey was alive then. So then later when he asks her out, he he doesn't know they've met before. And then at the lighthouse, he explains that that was the first time they met. And it was after that that she started making all the rabbits. But she would have remembered. So we're back at the lighthouse after the credits, and Dr. Watts is looking at the gravestone. Sarah and Tommy, the kids from the beginning, are here, and he says, "Here he is." Dr. Rosaline says, "Thanks, off you go now," and the kids run away. Rosaline says, "I still can't believe Johnny just willed the house to Lily like that." Oh, that's nice. And Dr. Watts says, "Heh, who else was there to give it to? Us?" Terrible place for burials, though. If there's a landslide, they'd be swimming with the fishes. She says, "Still a little too soon." And he says, "Nah, it's never soon enough." That sounds like an ice cream truck. Dr. Watts says, "Nice new ringtone." She answers the phone and says, "Hello, Eva there. Here, Eva here." She says, "We're on our way." Dr. Watts says, "New patient." Dr. Rosaline says, "New patient." Watts says, "Let's roll." Starts to walk after her. Oh, the screen flashes red. He shivers. And he takes some pain pills. Interesting. That must mean he has a condition. Episode 1 to the moon. Check mark. Good Lord, are there more of these? So she would have remembered them meeting. Why doesn't she tell him? It's weird that they would have erased the memory of his brother dying, even though everybody around them would remember. But it's interesting that he wanted to go to the moon based on that earlier memory that he doesn't remember anymore. He didn't really want to go to the moon. He wanted to meet River at the moon because they got separated. They had to contractually make it happen. Weird. It's a weird game. I don't like how they dealt with River. And the trauma thing was interesting. I don't know that I like how they dealt with that either. I mean, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist or anything, so I don't know that I can break it down very easily, but you know. I feel like the ending was supposed to be like, "Oh, they did it," and instead I'm kind of like, there were a lot of childhood memories. That guy's life was fucked up, but not because of River. But they made it seem like it was because of River for a very long time. I feel unresolved about this game. Ugh. Well, game over. Streamed. I will, I'll have to find another one. Hopefully that I'm not grumpy about. Anyway, stream. Thank you so much for joining me. And, I don't know, I guess check out my next one. Hopefully I won't be grumpy for the whole thing. I'm gonna go do some reading about this game and see if I was right about any of it, but, odd. It'll be interesting to see if there are others. I'll go look for others, yeah. Okay, well, stream. Have a wonderful week. It's still March. It's been a year. The world is a tough place right now. I just want to acknowledge that I support the Asian community, and I don't have a right to speak for them. But I do have a right to grieve for the humans that we were lost. In a very senseless way that I do not support. I'm doing a lot of research to make sure I can understand that community. I feel like I'm playing catch up a lot, which is terrible. I should know these things. So I'm learning as fast as I can, and I want anybody who listens to this to support the humans around you. To acknowledge that they're humans, that they may be different, they might have different cultures, they might have different backgrounds, they might think differently than you, but they're humans. And that's very important. And that is my soapbox that I will be stepping off now. Have a good week. Support the humans around you. Call your friends. Check in on them. Have intelligent conversations. Pet your pets. Eat something delicious. And rest, for the love of God. Somebody get some sleep. Sleep that actually helps. So...